Hello again and very welcome to the chapter about early queen raids. Another thing that we are told when we are beginners not to do in the opening is to bring out the queen too early. We are instead recommended to bring out knights, bishop and castle and so on. However, I think it would be wrong to say that it's always a bad idea to bring out the queen. It simply depends on the position from case to case. For example, we saw in the game between Anand and Tivyakov in the chapter about the defender's perspective in the previous section that after Anand's e4, Tivyakov played e5, and after e takes d5, queen takes d5, the Scandinavian defense. I think this is a good example. You can see already on move 2, black is bringing out the queen. But they have some good reason to do that. After, let's say, knight c3, you can play queen a5 or perhaps like Tivyakov, queen d6. What did we get in exchange for bringing out the queen so early? Well, we swapped those pawns in the center, and most probably black has a solid pawn structure here. So they can play for something like knight f6, c6, later on like in Caro-Kann style. If white is not able to attack them very quickly, perhaps black is doing just fine. So I think it would be wrong to say that this is always a bad idea. It's just a little dubious. Here black can get away with it, but in some other occasions it's not a good idea. Okay, I actually came to think of another case. If you play with white pieces e4, let's say they play c5, Sicilian, you play knight f3, they play d6, you play d4, and after c takes d4, most people would automatically play here knight takes d4, but actually you can also take with the queen. And after knight c6, bishop e5, white is still perfectly fine. Maybe it's not as critical as knight takes d4, but still is very much playable. So in this way, actually, white has managed to bring out the queen. It's being slightly attacked, slightly exposed, but it's not a big deal. Later on, white can castle. In the worst case, they can take on c6, and the queen is not in huge problems. However, on many other occasions, this might be a bad idea to bring out the queen very early. Like I'm saying, it depends from case to case. Let's have a look at two cases, where actually it was a big problem for one of the players that they brought out the queen so early. So let's have a look at some really dubious cases of early queen raids. Here in our first game, we have with white pieces, Swedish Grandmaster Tigor Hilla Persson, and playing black, our compatriot Kim Nygren. In this game, white plays d4, and after e6, c4, b6. This is, I think they call it Owen's defense. It's a kind of mixture, I would say, between the Queen's Indian and the Dutch, perhaps. Sometimes black would like to go f5 very quickly. Here, what you can play with white, you can play in different ways. One variation is knight c3, for example. After bishop e7, you can play the straightforward move e4. However, in this case, black might play bishop e4. Now, as you can see, they are speeding up the attack against the pawn on e4. And I just wanted to tell you that here, one of the white moves, possible white moves here, is f3. And if you play like this, actually an interesting idea for black is to play queen h4 check. So why would black bring out the queen so early? Well, it turns out that after g3, black would play here queen h5. And black would later on try to push f5 with some interesting pressure against white's pawn center.